So we're just gonna take a look at this weapon, how it operates. One thing to note right here, we're not having a good stats. So I'm gonna go over the stats as well as the DPS, just how the weapon feels. I'm gonna show you the math behind it shortly on why Alpha 12 is broken as a weapon. So we're gonna go over the pros and cons. I'm just gonna store this weapon here just in case. Keep it safe. My Tommy gun, yes. Okay, before we get any further into the Alpha 12 review, I just want to point out right here that the giveaway that I did a couple of days ago is officially over. It's finalized. Everyone got their rubies, so I'm just gonna show you right here. This is gonna be like a proof of delivery type of a thing. So just real quick, you can see that I purchased here 4 items for a 1600. These are all of the winners. Then we have 5, 6, 7, we have 8, 9, and we have the last guy over here, 10. So 2 days ago it was already realized, the prices were realized. However, I kind of forgot to give you this as a proof, so here you go. That's pretty much it. The next thing is good news, is I managed to sell this MG240. If you remember, I bought it on the market for 5,000. I managed to sell it for 10,000. It's 4,500 profit, and I can basically use these rubies to play a little bit with the Alpha 12. And I have a funny feeling that Alpha 12 is the best weapon in the game. Actually, it's gonna be better than the SPR 12 when it comes down to the DPS. However, Alpha 12 is limited by the range, so with the SPR 12, which is a sniper, we can shoot the targets over at the 50 meters range to receive no penalty at all. With assault rifles, that's gonna be 25 meters, with submachine guns 15 meters, and with Alpha 12, well, we are gonna figure out that today, what is the distance, the optimal distance for the Alpha 12 to not receive any damage penalty. But it's gonna be super close. You need to hug the target with such a weapon. Anyway, I want to go into the math portion of the video just to show you how the DPS is looking like, so what you can expect. Right here I have the AK-47 Tommy gun and Alpha 12. I did this like a couple weeks ago, this kind of test. I just wanted to see how much DPS increase we are having compared to the AK. AK is of course our baseline. One thing to note right here, in this particular DPS test, I actually managed to get slightly lower DPS for the Tommy gun, so this is what I included also. There is going to be like a 3% error plus minus, based on the previous tests that I have, because I know for a fact that Tommy gun has pretty much the same DPS as the AK-47. So yeah, I just decided to put it over there. Anyway, with the Alpha 12 right here, we need to account for me not using the correct stats. This is why I have this kind of a multiplier right here. Also, we need to include, we need to calculate that Alpha 12 shot is gonna have 8 pellets. So 8 individual pellets that are doing this small damage to the target. And we also need to include the magazine size that gave us such a DPS, right? So 32% more DPS than AK-47. Still, we need to remember that Alpha 12 is a super close range weapon. Anyway, the next portion right here is, I just thought about it, like what is gonna be the best stat for the Alpha 12, and I saw on the market that you can find a Alpha 12 with +3 to the magazine size, and there is a note right here. I don't really know what is the maximum roll for the mag size for the Alpha 12s. I only managed to see a +3 mag size on the market. Maybe it can be +4, maybe it can be +5. If that is the case, of course, it's gonna be better. But let's just take a look at the +3 magazine size. What is gonna be the math behind it? Well, right here, one thing that I had to calculate over here is actually the time needed to mag dump, because whenever we increase the magazine size, we are just gonna also increase the time needed for that mag dump, and that is gonna increase the total time for the one cycle, which is mag dump plus reload. Reload speed of course stays the same, that's not gonna change. We're just gonna have a more efficient reload. That time that is needed for the reload, which is how many, 2.8 seconds. That is just gonna be more efficient because we are reloading 11 bullets or shells instead of 8. And whenever, you know, the math is done, right here I got the DPS that is displayed right here. So that means that only from one stat, if we look at just one stat, it can give us 18.2% DPS increase just from that one stat, which is gonna be plus 3 mag size. This increase is compared to the base shotgun DPS right here. So, you know, find a Alpha 12 that has a magazine size to it. At least it needs to be plus 3, but you know, if you find better, if that exists, of course go for the better. And assuming that you are using SR Alpha 12 for that secondary stat, whatever you can squeeze in, whatever you can find, do not think too much about it. I would say that the next one in the line is still gonna be headshot damage at a max roll, if you know you can do that. But you could also use a reload speed, auto firing speed. Which one is gonna be better for the Alpha 12? Where we just need to remember that we will need approximately like 3 seconds to do a mag dump whenever we have 11 size of the magazine, and at the same time we are doing like close to 3 seconds reload. So you know, which one is better, reload speed or auto firing speed? The difference is very minimal. Over here auto firing speed should give us more DPS whenever we look at it this way, but I wouldn't think too much about it. So if you can get a, for the secondary stat to be headshot damage, weapon attack power, auto firing speed, reload speed, that should all give you pretty much the same value. There is also going to be a stat that is called accuracy. Maybe accuracy is going to work with the shotguns as well, but I cannot really confirm this myself. I cannot test it. So you know, that is one stat that is very iffy. Still, you know, I would just say focus on finding Alpha 12 that has a magazine size at least plus 3. So on the market I saw this shotgun that had magazine capacity at plus 3. This is SR weapon. Also there was one shotgun right here that had plus 3. So yeah, this one. This is SSR shotgun. It has a magazine capacity at plus 3. Again, plus 3 is all we need to justify magazine capacity to be the best stat, but if you can find plus 4, plus 5, if that exists in the game, of course go for it. In my case, I got a shotgun that doesn't have any good stats. Right here we're having the reload speed at pretty much like at the lowest, not the lowest, but so okay, this is not gonna be the best Alpha 12 over here, but it should give us a at least, whenever we remember this, it should give us 30% increase in DPS compared to the AK, compared to the Tommy gun, and you know, similar weapons. So I wanna go just and use this weapon and see how it performs. I do not really want to do any more precise testing. This is gonna be more of a feel, like how the weapon feels to be used. And we will have the, as you can see, boss fight very soon. However, before we get to the boss fight, I want to do this real quick. I want to go to the, let's go to the Pomrain, okay? The most random zone out there. And I want to figure out what is going to be the distance for this weapon to have a full-on damage, or in other words, what is going to be the distance whenever we are starting to receive damage penalty. I also need to remember one more thing, and that is to change the talents completely. So talents need to be, or skills need to be adjusted for the shotgun. But okay, first of all, whoa. Okay, first of all, let's see this. So we are here at the 25 meter range. Let's go down to the 15 meters actually. I'm not gonna be able to do this because the marker is gonna disappear. Let's see. Linda, stop. Okay, we can see like 1000 right here. Let's go to the 15 meters. Yep, we are already losing damage with this kind of a distance, and you can see that we are increasing the damage. Okay, increasing. This is a 10 meter, so we have 1250. 1200, right? Okay, let's go a little bit closer. So can we just hug the target? Okay, look, this is good. It appears to be that the distance for the shotguns is gonna be 10 meters. With the submachine guns, that distance is 15 meters. So you really need to be close to the target, but it's not all that punishing. Okay, it feels very weird to play with a shotgun. Is this guy gonna be serious? Oh man. Anyway, we know 1250. So you can see that we can just have such a massive damage reduction over the distance. From 1250 we are going all the way down to the 350, let's say, which is, you know, massive. Okay, that is all I need. I'm just gonna leave this flower. I do not care about the flower at all. At least we know that we have some distance to play with this kind of a shotgun. We do not really need to hug the target, you know, 10 meters is gonna be enough. I'm already used to using a submachine guns that have that 15-meter range, so, you know, it's not going to be all that big of an issue, but still, think about it and do not use shotguns over this distance. Like, if you see a guy over there, this is already like 25 meters, maybe even more, you're just gonna do pretty much like third of your damage. So the distance penalty is really great with the shotguns. Anyway, I actually want to go back. So let's do this real quick. I wanna reset all of these skill points. I'm gonna focus on shotguns as well as, you know, snipers over here, and I'm gonna try my best to squeeze in this kind of a stat, quick reload, because reload speed is going to be important. Pretty much like half of the time needed, pretty much the time to reload is gonna be the same to the time to just mag dump with Alpha 12s. So, you know, reload speed is going to be really important for us, from the skills at least, whenever we look at it. So first of all, let's do this. Split our points. Okay, just push straight into the shotguns. Okay, 10% damage. Okay, of course, go with the headshot damage. Of course, with the sniper damage. We are using snipers, right? And now I have 11 points, so I'm gonna go straight up with the run speed, sprint speed. This is something that I do not want to miss out on. And here we have the situation. Do we want to, like, maybe lean towards the SPR 12 to make it, you know, easier to use? We are gonna go with the first shot recoil control only for the SPR 12. If you're using Recon Scout, of course you're not gonna go with it. The second thing is you could just increase the reload speed for both Alpha 12 and SPR 12 or whatever other weapon you're using. So in this case, let's just enable the shotgun to do the full damage with the reload speed. Okay, so 5 points right here. I am left with a single point. I can, you know, decide where I want to go with it, and to be completely honest, where do I want to go with this last point is, well, since we are doing this, let's just, you know, give a shotgun a bit more accuracy. Why not, right? I think this is gonna be the setup for the shotgun sniper play. One thing that we are missing is a recoil control for the SPR. I noticed for myself, at least, it is giving me quite a lot of synergy with the sniper, with the SPR 12 mainly. Okay. Anyway, that is done. I also need to point out right here that I do not have a gear that is leaning towards a shotguns. The only thing is headshot damage from the head, but that's pretty much it. So this gear is not optimized for the shotguns. Still, you know, it would be just a couple of percentages of the damage, doesn't really matter, but yeah. Okay, I think that I'm ready, right? Guess what, we have a Dusk Garden. Okay, this is not what I wanted, but let's bring Alpha 12 to the Dusk Garden fight, like, why not? And let's figure this out. By the way, I had recently a one match of Dusk Garden where we had pretty much no players present, only me and yet another guy. The two of us fought bravely against the Dusk Garden boss, but we didn't succeed at it. Surprise. However, during these 5 minutes I managed to get my personal record to be 8 million damage for 5 minutes, even though keep in mind that is a fail of a Dusk Garden, but yeah, I never did it. I never pulled 8 million so far on Dusk Garden. Okay, let's start this. Is this good? No, it's not good. Can I shoot at the boss from underneath? Okay. Can I get a spot number 1 from this? Do not do that, okay. I mean, look, I can grab the first spot maybe, you know, but this is just making the fight a lot more complicated than it should be, you know. We are gonna lose this fight. We do not have damage. Okay, I'm gonna give up. This is it. I cannot even run back in. Can I? Okay. Look, that was very interesting. The spot number 1. Okay, for 5 minutes of a fight. Yeah, this is rather bad. Yes, you can use Alpha 12 right here, but it's not gonna be the best weapon. Okay, maybe Holitor. Maybe go to the Holitor real quick. Find couple of the willing ones that wanna take just a little bit of a Alpha 12 love. Honestly, for the PvP it doesn't really make sense to use a shotgun, even though yes, you can just delete other people and you do not need to aim all that much. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense because majority of our PvP happens over at like medium range, you know, medium to long range. Usually we do not have people just run into each other. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to grab a shotgun for the PvP. I don't really know if somebody is near. I hear a lot of footsteps that could be just bunch of a zombie. Okay, let's try to use a shotgun on this guy. I'm sorry, bro. I'm really sorry. I love you, okay? I'm sorry. Like, my heart is breaking right now. Oh, man. Okay, I mean, this weapon is kind of a brain dead. Like, you do not need to aim with it. You do not need to aim. You have a lot of damage in a single shot. I mean, these zombies are just getting deleted. Now he's doing a flower. Still, I'm gonna use it against the construction site. Construction site that is. Oh boy. I don't see who was he shooting at. But yeah, the whole point is, you know, to test this weapon against construction site. That was the whole point. I'm gonna do it. Still. Yo, bro. I cannot believe it. The guy landed a headshot. Oh. Either that or he has some crazy level of the sniper. One cool thing that we can do with the shotgun is going to be to just give it to the resident, because residents have aimbot in this game, okay? Basically all of the 8 pellets are gonna be launched to the head if you just give it to the resident to use it. So I wanna show you that as well, and then we can go on to the construction site boss. Okay, Jimmy, come on. You can have the honor. Come on, start. Look at this. Look at this. So all of the shots are going straight to the head. Come on, Jimmy. Come on, Jimmy. Do not look at him. Please, please, Jimmy, come on. So you can see all of the shots are going towards the head, so all of the 8 pellets per shot. And yeah, that is just giving the residents a crazy DPS. I think that he's still missing a couple. You can see he fires like once. But okay, he's single-handedly clearing all of them. Boom, done, gone. So that is the power of the shotguns in the hands of a residence. Okay. Okay. Not good, not good. Okay, good, good, good. Hold on, take it easy. Number one, hold on. Okay, look, that was good, that was great. I got a second position, which is not something that I usually see. Okay, this is insane damage. I never get this much of the damage in a construction site boss fight. I usually get like 4 million, maybe 4.5 million. That is my top with SPR 12. This is the one where I challenged the top dog, like one of the, you know, one of the guys that have, I don't even know what he's using. I can check the footage, I can find what weapon he's using, but this was done only with the +5 Alpha 12. So you can see that third guy, Hellfire usually has more DPS than, or not DPS, but damage than I do. So this was rather a dominating fight. This is going to be easy case where I can say that Alpha 12 is the best weapon for a construction site boss, and we also know that SPR 12 is the best weapon for the Dusk Garden boss. Because of this result, I'm gonna keep this shotgun for myself for, you know, some time, for quite some time, and I'm gonna try to, you know, even perfect it over at the construction site, over at the Dusk Garden. I'm gonna try to, you know, become better with the shotgun myself. Is yet again, I use a shotgun that doesn't have a good stats to it. The stats of this shotgun is just pretty random. The only thing that shotgun has is level, you know, +5, which is very important. but stats can play a huge role over here, especially if you have a magazine size at +3 at least. If you know it can be more, go with it. But yeah, that is going to add that extra level to it if you have good stats Alpha 12. Okay, this was amazing because finally I can compete in a construction site. I'm just gonna show you that this is actually my high score for the week, and not even for the week, but for the, I wanna say like a month even. Well, not for the month, like for forever pretty much. Can I load the rank? Hello? Is this problem on my end? Why can I not load these high scores? But yeah, you can see right here I managed to reach a top 50, and look, this fight lasted only for 3.5 minutes, let's say. So assuming that I'm just gonna, you know, have the same kind of a performance, we can just say 6.3 divide by 3.5 times 5 minutes. You know, I could push 9 million to be my high score, and if that happens, that would just, you know, place me somewhere right here, like top 16, let's say. You know, but at the same time, you know, these guys are also, you know, playing these shorter fights. I'm just looking, you know, like compared to the other players, like where am I gonna land eventually, right? Not necessarily because of the ranking. Like, of course, ranking is important for these rewards, you know. I just want to see like where do I rank compared to the like top 100 players on the server at, you know, given moment every single week. So, you know, this is actually great. Finally I can do a considerable damage using a shotgun. I do not need to think too much about it. With the Dusk Garden, that is gonna be the what is it called, the SPR 12. Again, a short fight gave me a, let's call it top 50, right? Not really, but you know, top 51 for now. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm just gonna give you the final conclusion, my final thoughts on Alpha 12 as a shotgun. I do not like it for the sake of clearing smaller zombies. I think that it is a little bit of an overkill over there. Also, it doesn't really seem to be all that accurate, so that, you know, you can just land 8 pellets into their head all that frequently, right? So for the smaller zombies, I do not like Alpha 12. That would also include a Squito. I would like to use a Tommy gun or AK, machine gun, whatever else, even SPR 12 to kill the Squito, because then I can send all of the shots into the head. Most of the time, like not always, but it's much easier to control your aim with normal weapons other than compared to the shotguns, right? So for the smaller zombies, I do not like Alpha 12. For the sake of a PvP, do I like Alpha 12? No, I don't like, because it's such a limited weapon. It requires you to be super close to the target. I mean, at one moment you saw that I had to chase the guy, to just, you know, run towards him so that I can blast him for that ridiculous DPS. But you know, that limitation of the shotgun is something that I do not like in a PvP. I would much prefer to have AK or a Tommy gun in a PvP compared to the shotgun, of course, because they are a little bit more flexible when it comes down to the damage penalty over the distance, when it comes down to the accuracy, how easy it is to shoot enemies at a medium range. So I do not really like shotguns in a PvP, if that makes sense. Now sure, if it happens that, you know, we are PvPing like this, then yeah, Alpha 12 is just gonna delete anyone who is standing this close, right? But I do not like in a PvP, okay? When it comes down to the Dusk Garden, I do not like shotgun in a Dusk Garden. You saw why. We are playing in a completely different way. We need to develop new strategies, new ways to figure out how to dodge all of the damage, how to survive. And even whenever we are hugging the Dusk Garden boss, there is going to be a time when we can just not shoot at the boss's head. due to the positioning of the boss hitbox whenever he is casting his smaller AoE ability. So I do not like shotgun over there. The only place that this weapon deserves to be praised at or praised for is gonna be how it operates against the construction site boss, because construction site boss has big enough of the head. We can stand close to him, you know, majority of the time we wanna hug him, and then we can just send all of the damage into his head. One thing that I noticed at the construction site is whenever he does his slam ability, there is going to be a recovery time from his end whenever he's gonna raise effectively his left arm across his face. That is gonna shield his head hitbox, and during that time maybe it's gonna be beneficial to just, you know, stop shooting and wait for the arm to go down in order to ensure that all of the pellets are gonna go into the head. That is min-maxing, you know, that I need to do. From this point onward, I want to push that damage as much as I can. I want to perfect that fight. I want to see what is going to be the most optimal playstyle for the shotgun for the given boss fight. And eventually, maybe, who knows, I'm gonna find a better shotgun that has here magazine capacity at +3 as a most important stat. Maybe I'm gonna find something better than that. But you know, this shotgun for now is going to work. Okay, it's not really needed to have ridiculous weapons like, you know, having the best in slot stats for, I mean, headshot damage for SSR is gonna be 17%. Everyone wants that, but it's not really, you know, needed. You are gonna be slightly weaker, but at the same time, what is the most important thing that is going to determine how much damage you're doing is just the level of a weapon as well as grade of the weapon. And why? Well, because of the penetration value, that is the main one. Also, with each level we are getting attack power increase. So attack power increase is a steady damage increase. The penetration is something that is negating the enemy's armor values. Penetration is also something that is gonna enable you to do any reasonable damage. Like, for example, you know that with some weapons, if they are solo, you are gonna do like 10 damage per hit against heavily armored targets, but whenever you equalize level of a weapon versus level of a target, you are doing normal damage, and then whenever you are just pushing your level ridiculously high, you are overpowering enemies damage, and then you are just, you know, scaling exponentially your damage. This is happening due to the penetration value, armor values. As you can see right here, we have a defense as a value, but we also have the penetration resist on the armor. So that is one reason why we see that kind of like a crazy scaling, you know, exponential scaling, only because of the penetration resist and penetration itself. But when it comes down to the damage, linear damage increase, that also comes from the attack power with each level. So, you know, that is going to be the most important one. Then the secondary one is going to be if you have good stats on your weapon or not. But okay, that is a little bit outside of this topic, so I'm just going to wrap the video right here. Alpha 12, it's not great weapon, it's not the best weapon, at least for me. This is a personal feeling. Of course, you could disagree with me, you could have a different kind of a, you know, opinion towards the Alpha 12. I do not think that it is the best weapon, but for a certain fights, construction site boss, it's gonna be the best weapon. Like, it's gonna be the best weapon. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that note, and yeah, I'm keeping this Alpha 12 for myself for quite some time, and yeah. Okay, take care, bye bye, peace up.